देवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण।
Thank you, Mataji. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Jaya Pataka Swami Niti Namine Namo Acharya Padaya Nitaya Kripa Pradayine Gaur Katha Dhamadaya Nagar Gram Tarini Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Mukum Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. I think we completed 30,
36.
33, 34, 35, 36, right?
Yes.
36 we have
Yes,
to start.
Mataji.
I think
Start.
36 done.
we have to start.
36 you have to do.
Okay, so we'll just revise last time हमने जो किया था. So text 33, 34, 35 we will read. Even in text number 33, 1 minute. Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish? There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion because they're stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. So we should not be too attached or too averse to anything. Particularly, it is related to our duty. अगर हमारा कुछ duty है तो उसमें it should not be that I don't like this and I like this. It should not be like that. It's our duty to do something, and we should avoid such attachment and aversions. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duties perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duties, for to follow another's path is dangerous. So everybody has got some psychophysical nature according to the type of body we each individual have got. We have our own psychophysical nature. तो अकॉर्डिंग टू द वर्णाश्रम धर्म, इसीलिए भगवान ने वर्णाश्रम सिस्टम भी बनाया है, क्योंकि साइकोफिजिकल नेचर के हिसाब से भगवान ने 4 वर्ण 4 आश्रम बनाए हैं. So we must follow our own psychophysical nature, and whatever it is, even if suppose somebody is a Shudra, his psychophysical nature is that of Shudra. So he should not try to become a Brahmana. Instead, he should remain like whatever his nature is, because the nature of the Shudra is what they have such bodily built that they are actually the manual laborers. So they should do that work only. They should not try to do something which requires very high intelligence, right? तो दूसरों का हमें काम नहीं करना चाहिए. हमारा जो है नेचर, बॉडीली नेचर, वैसा ही हमें कर्म करना चाहिए. And even if there is destruction in the course of doing our own prescribed duty, it is still okay, rather than trying to do somebody else's duties. So text 36, we will continue now. Now there is another section. So in this section, Arjuna is going to ask Krishna another question. How is it that people end up committing sinful activities? नहीं चाहते हुए भी वो पाप क्यों करते हैं? So that Krishna is going to answer. Arjun Uvacha. One of you can read. Sujata Mataji, you can read.
Yes, Mataji.
अर्थकेन प्रयुक्तोऽयं
अथ केन प्रयुक्तोऽयं
पापं चरति पुरुषः
पापं चरति पुरुषः
अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय
अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय
बलादीव नियोजितः
बलादीव नियोजितः. Arjuna Uvacha. Arjuna said, Atha, then, Kena, by what? Prayukta, impelled. I am one. Papam, sins. Charati, does. Purusa, a man. Anichan, without desiring. Api, although. Vashneya, O descendant of Vashni. Balat, by force. Iva, as if. Niyojitaha, engaged. Arjuna said, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? Hare Krishna.
So in 34th verse में भगवान ने बताया था कैसे one should be free from rag and dvesh, from attachment and aversion. And one should, after being free from attachments and aversions, one must continue to do his duties. So Arjun, now referring to that, he is asking this question: what is it that one is impelled to do sinful activities, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? So क्यों किसी को कोई पाप करने के लिए मजबूर हो जाता है? कभी-कभी they don't want to do it, but they end up committing some sinful activity.
Mataji, many times when we are doing something, we tell ourselves, no, this is wrong. We should not do this.
Yeah.
If somebody says like this, I should not react like this. But when you go into that situation, it is almost as though, in spite of having warned yourself that you should not say these things, you end up saying those things. So I guess this is what Arjuna means here.
Yeah.
It's something I have many times I've had this experience. I'll think, abhi unke paas jaake I should not talk like this. I should not raise this issue. But udhar jaane ke baad, I don't know how the situation is such that it just comes out of my mouth, and then I curse myself. So I don't know how this can be controlled.
Let's see what is Krishna's answer. Yeah. So a living entity as part and parcel of the Supreme is originally spiritually pure and free from all material contaminations. Therefore, by nature, he is not subject to the sins of material world. But when he is in contact with the material nature, he acts in many sinful ways without hesitation, sometimes even against his will. As such, Arjuna's question to Krishna is very sanguine as to the perverted nature of the living entities. Although the living entity sometimes does not want to act in sin, he is still forced to act. Sinful actions are not, however, impelled by the super soul within, but are due to another cause. तो कई लोग क्या बोलते हैं पता है कि भगवान ही हमसे करवा रहे हैं. So do you think it is Krishna who is making us do all these things?
No,
No,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Yeah, it is not Krishna. Krishna is there in our heart. He's witnessing everything, all our actions, but he has nothing to do with any of our actions. जो भी हम करते हैं, actions करते हैं, वो सब कुछ किसके अंडर हो रहा है?
Maya के अंदर.
Yeah, the material nature. Through the modes of material nature, we are acting. And let us see what is that one component which forces us, which हमें नहीं चाहते हुए भी हम बोल देते हैं या कर देते हैं या जो भी है वो हो जाता है. So that also Krishna is going to now reveal what is that. Next verse, who can read this?
Mataji, can I read?
Yeah, Mataji. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Anuvacha.
Kam esha krodha esha.
Kam esha krodha esha.
Rajo gun samudbhavaha.
Rajo gun samudra bhava.
महाशनो महापाप्मा
महाशनो महापाप्मा
विद्येनम इह वैरिणम
विद्ये अहम वरेण्यम श्री Sri Bhagavan of Vacha, the personality of Godhead, said, Kamha, lust, Isha, this, Krodha, vrat, Isha, this, Rajagana, the mode of passion, Samudha, born of, Maha, Ashnaha, all devouring, Maha Papa,
पाप
great Papma, greatly sinful. Vidhi, no. Inam, this. Etha, in the material world. Varinam, greatest enemy. The Supreme Personality of the Godhead said, it is the lust only, Arjun, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion and later transformed into world, and which is the all devouring sinful enemy of this world. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. So the answer that Lord Krishna gives is that it is lust only. So ये जो lust है, lust means anything that the mind wants to do, or things that after doing this I will get pleasure. It can be anything. So lust, it is the lust only, Arjun, which is born of contact with the mode of passion. ये जो lust है, mode of passion के connect में आने से develop होता है, और जब ये lust पूरा नहीं होता तो वही lust जो है anger में बदल जाता है, रात में, and then anger से फिर आगे उसका corollaries develop होता है. और तो so in the purport, Lord Krishna or Srila Prabhupada explains us that now this mode of passion में lust develop होता है. तो actually we are spirit souls, pure spirit souls, and the original form of this lust is actually love for Krishna. So originally being spirit soul, it is love for Krishna which manifests in the form of lust. जब हम इस मटेरियल वर्ल्ड में आते हैं और मोड ऑफ पैशन के कांटेक्ट में आते हैं तो वही लव जो है लस्ट में बदल जाता है, और ये लस्ट ही है जो सबको बांध के रखा है इस मटेरियल वर्ल्ड में, एंड दैट इज अ मोड ऑफ पैशन. So the mode of passion and ignorance is the one which is binding us, which makes us move here and there and everything, makes us do so many things, especially something which we should not be doing. तो ये मोड ऑफ पैशन और इग्नोरेंस के अंडर में ही आकर होता है. सो कृष्णा Prabhupada tells us, instead of being degraded to the mode of ignorance, one should try to elevate to the mode of goodness by practice of spiritual regulations. इसीलिए अब हम इससे कैसे बचना है हमें? Now you know we are bound by these modes, mode of passion, ignorance, goodness. At least in the mode of goodness we have some control over our senses. तो हम कुछ भी करने से पहले, बोलने से पहले 10 बार सोचते हैं, एंड अपने जबान को हम ताला लगा सकते हैं या अपने एक्शंस पे हम कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं. सो दैट पावर वी अटेन व्हेन वी आर इन द मोड ऑफ गुडनेस. ओके, तो एज लॉन्ग एज वी आर बाउंड बाय द मोड ऑफ पैशन एंड इग्नोरेंस, देन वो ऑटोमेटिकली वो करवा ही लेते हैं, इवन दो वी मे नॉट वांट टू डू एनीथिंग और से एनीथिंग और थिंक एनीथिंग रॉन्ग, बट पैशन और इग्नोरेंस जो है वो उसी डायरेक्शन में हमें ले जाते हैं, डिग्रेडेशन के डायरेक्शन में. सो हाउ, व्हाट इज द सॉल्यूशन? वी हैव टू राइज टू द मोड ऑफ गुडनेस, because this lust is there. The moment the soul has come in contact with this nature, material nature, mode of passion से contact हमारा हो गया है, तो naturally वो lust है अभी. Right now we have to work on it now, how to overcome this lust. Otherwise this lust, अगर ये lust रहेगा तो naturally by nature ही वो mode of passion और ignorance हमें degradation की ओर ले जाएंगे.
Mataji, what is lust here referred as? Is it greed?
Lust, one second, let me see, कहीं पर definition दिया होगा.
Because the reason for all this is given we being lusty, right, Mataji? So if you can elaborate,
It will come.
is it like wanting more than what you require?
That is greed. Greed is wanting more and more and more. Of course, lust ke baad greed aata hai. I mean, both are together, both go together. Lust means anything that I want for my senses gratification. It could be anything to eat, anything to hear, anything to touch, anything. It can be anything. Lust means anything that I want for my sense gratification. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is one definition. Atmendriya Priti Ichha Tare Bole Kam Krishnendriya Priti Ichha Dhare Prem Nam. So anything that we do for our own senses gratification, that is lust, and everything that we do for Krishna's pleasure is love. Okay, तो ये love और lust का एकदम opposite है. Definition of love is whatever, anything that we do for Krishna's pleasure is love. That is only love. And anything that we do for our own pleasure is lust.
Okay, Mataji, I have a very simple question here.
Yeah.
Mataji, so Mataji, see, the weather is very nice, and if by early evening or say late afternoon we are feeling very tired and we feel like sleeping, and Mataji, that is the time we generally do a reading also.
Yeah.
So Mataji, if we prefer to sleep, is this for our Indriya Tushti, as you said? Is this a wrong decision?
See, now that has to be done now. Practical aspects bhi dekhna hoga. Suppose if you may be tired, you need some rest, then that's a different thing. Okay, you plan your entire day that in this time I'm going to read here, etc., etc. And then some time for rest also, that is all right. Aisa nahi ki nahi karna chahiye rest. But suppose you already, that time is for reading, and instead you feel little laziness and you feel, okay, it's better I just sleep. Then that's like getting into ignorance and lust. I mean, that's could be called as the sway of lust, and because of which ignorance, you want to sleep more rather than do other devotional activity. Is that okay,
Yeah.
Mataji?
Yeah, Mataji.
So see,
Yeah, Mataji.
it is mentioned here, second paragraph, the Supreme Personality of Godhead expanded himself into many for his ever-increasing spiritual bliss, and the living entities are parts and parcels of that spiritual bliss. They also have partial independence, but by misuse of their independence, when the service attitude is transformed into propensity for sense enjoyment, they come under the sway of lust. So always remember, when this service attitude, मतलब आपका अगर ये time है for some devotional activity, that means it's a service for Krishna. So instead of that, if it is transformed into propensity for sense enjoyment, कि चलो जाने तो इससे अच्छा सो लेते हैं, इससे अच्छा टीवी देख लेते हैं, इससे अच्छा कोई movie देख लूं, then we come under the sway of lust.
माताजी, एक्चुअली जैसे अभी क्लास चल रहा है, हम क्लास को बंक करके शॉपिंग चले जाते हैं, तो दैट इज लस्ट.
Yes, if it is not needed, ऐसा कोई जरूरी नहीं है, but बस मन किया कि चलो शॉपिंग के लिए चली जाओ, इससे अच्छा, so then it is lust.
Many times it's not that crystal clear, Mataji. It's not all, as in, there is always little confusion many a times when things are not this clear.
Confusion regarding like what I should be doing.
Like Mataji, I need to clean the house. That is also important, and I'm getting late in doing, some altar seva. So if I get into cleaning, that is important. So Mataji, the things are not always too clear. Like going for reading and maybe going for a movie is clear, but sometimes conditioned and constitutional duties.
See, cleaning your house is also devotional activity. Your house belongs to Krishna. and you're cleaning your house. So that's not lust. That you can decide, okay, for what time, how much time to give to this, how much time to give to that. That is okay. अगर दो डिवोशनल एक्टिविटी में थोड़ा आगे पीछे होता है उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है.
And Mataji, one more thing, what I do is when I'm cleaning the work, there are so many audiobooks available or classes. So we can engage our ear in hearing and we can clean. For example, Krishna book, so many things are available.
Yeah.
So in the situation, we can, it's not exactly multitask because our mind is anyway thinking that I have to serve Krishna, but I have to clean also. So by doing so, initially, it wasn't so easy for me doing this two work. But over a period of time, I could now both do my cooking, listening, and cleaning everything because we get tuned to it. Immediately,
Yes.
if you're expecting the result that, I'm not able to focus so much on hearing while I'm cleaning, then we are giving up. But while we are slowly understanding, yes, now I'm not understanding that much, but while keep doing so, I will understand better. For example, Prabhupada's lecture. Initially, it was not so easy for us to understand because of his Bengali accent and everything. But now, hearing his classes every day, now even while cooking, I'm able to understand Prabhupada's classes. So sometimes that perseverance also we have to give, Mataji. Like, this is my experience in Krishna consciousness because as Swati mentioned, there is a different duties that we have to perform, which are also important. It's not like going or chit-chatting with friends or doing something. So in that time, we can try to maximize our time in Krishna consciousness by keeping our consciousness clear, at least.
Yeah.
By
Just
cleaning,
add
we should not
Krishna.
think that, I am cleaning and forget Krishna. Whereas we can keep remembering Krishna, like Krishna says, Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu, Mamanusmara Yudhyacha. Always remember me and do your duty. So that can be one thing that we can do.
Yes. Swati Mataji, is your query answered? Hare Krishna, Swati Mataji. Okay,
I
so
think she's
we'll go ahead.
answered.
So
Yes, Mataji answered. Actually, there is a lot of disturbance here. I could hear everyone clearly, Mataji.
Okay, all right. Okay, so this inquiry is the beginning of the Vedanta Sutra, wherein it is said, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. One should inquire into the Supreme. And the Supreme is defined in Srimad Bhagavatam as Janmadi Asya Yato Anvyaditaratascha. The origin of everything is the Supreme Brahman. Therefore, the origin of lust is also in the Supreme. If therefore lust is transformed into love for the Supreme or transformed into Krishna consciousness, or in other words, desiring everything for Krishna, then both lust and wrath can be spiritualized. Hanuman, the great servitor of Lord Ram, exhibited his wrath by burning the golden city of Ravan. But by doing so, he became the greatest devotee of the Lord. So basically, this lust and anger and all, they are existing entities. Okay, and we have to face them. It is there in our heart. So, but now we have to clean it. We have to spiritualize it. So how do we do it? By engaging by trying to do everything for Krishna's pleasure, or when whatever we are doing, the work at home also. So by engaging our senses simultaneously in hearing about Krishna and doing our work, we can spiritualize our senses. So that way the lust is transformed into love gradually. The more you hear about Krishna, the more you honor his prasadam, the more you serve the deities. So by doing like this, our love for Krishna will awaken and the lust will go on diminishing. And wrath means anger. How can we spiritualize our anger? So in Nectar of Instruction also it is mentioned that this anger, ऐसा नहीं कि हम anger को एकदम से खत्म कर सकते हैं, नहीं. But we can use it for the right purpose. So if somebody suppose insults me, at that time I can choose to be tolerant because it's about me. Somebody said something to me, I need not react. I need not act in anger. At that time I can tolerate. But if somebody suppose insults some other devotee, then I should not just keep quiet and listen, I should speak, I should be angry at that time. So anger should be engaged when somebody is criticizing another devotee or criticizing Lord Krishna or Srila Prabhupada or ISKCON. So if somebody is criticizing Krishna, then or his devotees, then we must not keep quiet. That at that time we should not think, nahi, Bhagwan ne kaha gussa theek nahi hai, so I should not be angry. At that time we should be angry. But so that way anger should be engaged in the right place. Just as Lord Hanuman, he engaged his anger to for killing Ravana or burning his golden city, right? Even Arjuna, he engaged his anger in the war of Kurukshetra. So by so doing, the anger can be spiritualized and our lust can convert into love. Okay, next verse. Anuradha Mataji, आप read करोगे ये?
Yes, Mataji.
धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निर्
धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निर्
यथादर्शो मलेन च
यथा दर्शो मलेन च
यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भस्
यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भस्
तथा तेनेदमावृतम्
तथा तेनेदम् आवृतम्. धूमेना by smoke, आवृत्य is covered, वह्निर fire, यथा just as, आदर्शो mirror, malen by dust, ch also, yatha just as, albane by the worm, आवृतः is covered, गर्भः embryo, तथा so ten by that lust, idam this, avritam is covered. As fire is covered by smoke, as a mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degree of this lust. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण. तो ये जो लस्ट है, ये जितने डिग्री, मतलब इफ यू नो हमारा जो मटेरियल वर्ल्ड है, ये किस तरह से जब क्रिएशन हुआ ना, तो बहुत ही डिटेल में 3rd कैंटो 5th कैंटो ऑफ श्रीमद् भागवत में भी बताया गया है कि हाउ द अर्थ, वाटर, फायर, एयर, ईथर, all these elements, they keep on increasing 10 times thicker than the previous one. So first is air, first is I think ether. तो ether का जितना thickness है, उससे फिर double 7 times more thickness, 10 times more thickness is air. Then air के बाद ether, air, then fire. Fire का जो covering है, it is even 10 times more thicker than the air. So like this, it goes on becoming thicker and thicker, 10 times more thicker. So, so this material world itself is covered by these elements which are so thick, and this lust is one of those component which is very, very thick. Okay, I mean, depending on the degree of its thickness, our consciousness will be covered that much. So now in this verse, examples are given, analogies are given. एक दिया गया, just as a fire is covered by smoke. जैसे आप कहीं दूर आप देख रहे हो कि स्मोक आ रहा है, वो स्मोक के अंदर फायर भी होता है, बट वो फायर दिखाई नहीं देता. वो स्मोक इतना ज्यादा होता है कि हमें फायर उसके अंदर दिखता नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी that covering of the fire with the smoke is very slight. थोड़ा सा आप ऐसा हवा करोगे, आपको दिख जाएगा कि हाँ अंदर फायर भी है, right? So this example is compared with the human form of life. हमारा जो ह्यूमन बॉडी है, उसको ये फायर और स्मोक के एग्जाम्पल से कंपेयर किया गया है. जस्ट एज अ फायर इज कवर्ड बाय स्मोक एंड दिस थिकनेस इज वेरी स्लाइट, दिस डिग्री ऑफ लस्ट इज वेरी स्लाइट. सो ह्यूमन फॉर्म ऑफ बॉडी में जो लस्ट है, वो एक्चुअली it is very slight and it can be overcome or it can be corrected by the process of devotional service. इस लस्ट को हम ह्यूमन फॉर्म ऑफ लाइफ में हम उसको बदल सकते हैं, प्रेम में बदल सकते हैं by doing bhakti. Whereas second example, a mirror covered by dust. जैसे अगर सपोज एक मिरर जो है, आप कहीं if you go out for 6 months out of your house, you just lock your house and you go out, Okay, after you come back, after 6 months, 8 months, you will see dust on the mirror. You will not be able to see your face very clearly because अब वो mirror पे पूरा dust जमा हो गया है. So this kind of this degree of lust is medium. You will have to actually उसको एकदम रगड़ के उसको निकालना पड़ेगा, and then the thick dust comes out, and then you are able to see yourself. So this is compared to this is compared to an animal, sorry. Mirror with dust is compared to the animal body. Now in animal body, the lust is medium. And in human form of life, it is just a slight. तो थोड़ा सा भक्ति करने से वो लस्ट को बदला जा सकता है, लेकिन एनिमल बॉडी में वो मीडियम थिकनेस होता है. एंड ट्री के बॉडी में, ट्री के बॉडी में इट इज द मोस्ट thickest, it is intensely thick. So and that it is compared with the embryo in the womb. जो ट्री का बॉडी है उसको कंपेयर किया गया है एम्ब्रियो इन द वोम. एनिमल बॉडी को कंपेयर किया गया है मिरर एंड द डस्ट, और ह्यूमन बॉडी को कंपेयर किया गया है फायर एंड द स्मोक्स के. ओके, जस्ट एज फायर इज कवर्ड बाय स्मोक, but then it very easily that smoke can be removed and you can see the fire. So that is compared to the human form of life where the lust is there, but very easily it can be removed by practicing Krishna consciousness. Then just as the mirror is covered by dust, तो वो कितना थोड़ा और मेहनत करना पड़ेगा ना उस डस्ट को निकालने के लिए. So that is compared to the animal form of life. एंड एम्ब्रियो कवर्ड बाय वुम, एक एम्ब्रियो जब एक बच्चा पेट में होता है, माँ के गर्भ में होता है, तो वो कैसे एक छोटी सी जगह पे बंधा ही हुआ है, इट कैन नॉट मूव एट ऑल, राइट. तो वैसे ही ट्री का जो बॉडी है, इट इज द मोस्ट थिकेस्ट लस्ट इज देयर इन दैट बॉडी. इट इज जस्ट स्टैंडिंग इन वन प्लेस एंड कैन नॉट डू एनीथिंग, कैन नॉट मूव, कैन नॉट से, कैन नॉट स्पीक, एंड कैन नॉट डू मच अबाउट द अनर्थas there in the heart. Right, so these three are compared with the three species of life. So human form of life we have got, it's very rare and very fortunate that we get a human form of life after 84 lakh species. Or in human form of life we get a chance to escape the entanglement of material existence. The last line. Therefore, the human form of life is a chance for the living entity to escape the entanglement of material existence. In the human form of life, one can conquer the enemy lust by cultivation of Krishna consciousness under able guidance. So, anyone has any question? आप लोगों ने read किया होगा ये purport. If you have any question, we can take that. Do you want some more clarification in this? Everybody's clear with the analogies and examples?
माता जी, ये
Yes, माता
मीटर और डस्ट का कंपेयर एनिमल्स बॉडी के साथ में हुआ है. एंड मिरर से डस्ट को क्लीन करने में थोड़ी मेहनत होती है, तो एनिमल्स में कैसे जागृत किया जा सकता है माता जी भगवत प्रेम?
वो अब खुद तो नहीं कर सकते, वो खुद से तो नहीं कर सकते, बिकॉज they don't have their intelligence, right? लेकिन अगर सपोज if they are born in a devotee family, okay, कोई devotee family में सपोज अगर as a pet dog कोई है, and then in that family they are doing kirtan, so by hearing kirtan that soul, animal soul will also go back to Godhead.
हाँ, जैसे माता जी कभी कभी पैरेट का एग्जाम्पल होता है कि लोग पैरेट को राम राम ऐसा करके,
हाँ, तो वो राम राम बोल के पैरेट भी जा सकता है भगवत धाम.
तो माता जी जैसे ट्री के नीचे भी भगवत कथा चल रही है, होती है ना, जैसे पहले आश्रम में ट्रीज के नीचे क्लासेस हुआ करती थी, तो माता जी एट दैट सिचुएशन में ट्रीज का भी वो होता है माता जी, उद्धार होता है?
यस, ट्रीज का भी उद्धार होता है, डेफिनेटली ट्रीज का भी उद्धार होता है, बट ऐसे होंगे.
हम कृष्ण कथा अगर गार्डन में बैठ के करते हैं, वहाँ पे कुछ भजन करते हैं, तो माता जी इसका मतलब वहाँ पे जो प्लांट्स है, ट्रीज है,
यस, सबका उद्धार हो रहा है.
ओके माता जी.
Yeah.
Mataji, I would like to share one incident in our society related to this. Mataji, what happened on Narsimha Chaturthi? You were telling us Narsimha Bhagwan ka katha, no?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Mataji, we have this mango tree in our society. So we used to go and collect the mangoes from there. So I had gone and then I sat there and you were on loudspeaker and I heard entire katha and Mataji, 7-8 mangoes. Like if I'm getting one mango is also good enough for me. Like my going and coming back is okay. That day Mataji, 7-8 mango I collected. And then I went to Rajni Mataji's house and gave, because Nandu is there, like 2-3 mango to her Bal Gopal and Mataji. That was like, I keep sharing this thing with my relatives also. So maybe, I don't know, but it could be a coincidence. But yes, in spirituality, as they say, there is no coincidence. So Mataji, this has happened. Just that thought has came to my mind.
Okay.
Nice experience.
Mataji, I think this also explains the fact that why do we feel so peaceful when we go to temples and places where a lot of puja, kirtan and chanting is done? Because the atmosphere around also, including the trees and whatever non-living things also, it impacts it makes it positive. I guess that's the reason why we feel very nice and calm when we go and sit in the temples.
That's a proof. That's a proof. You just sit, you just go to temple and you just sit. Don't do anything. Just hear the kirtan going on. Just be there and you feel so different, so happy, so elated.
So peaceful.
Yeah. Same thing happens with all the living entities. Even the animals and plants, they may not be able to express, but the soul is getting the same peace that we attain when we go to temple, when we hear the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It's just that वो इस ऐसे body से covered है ना, the soul in the animal body and the plant body, they are covered with such thickness. मतलब जड़ वस्तु है ना, वो ज्यादा जड़ है. At least human form of life में we are able to express, we are able to feel, but उनके इसमें इतना नहीं है वो, इतना highly developed senses नहीं है और intelligence नहीं है. Lekin soul is the same. The soul is there. The same soul which is there in this human form of life is there also in the animal and plant. So soul ko to benefit hota hai. It's just that they cannot express, they cannot talk, they cannot feel that much. Okay, this verse we will do. Chinmay Mataji, you want to read? या तो और कोई किसी को रीड करना है तो
Mataji, can I read?
सीता लक्ष्मी माताजी. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. आवृतं ज्ञानमेतेन
Avritam jnanametena
ज्ञानिनो नित्यवैरिणा
jnanino nityavairina
कामरूपेण कौन्तेय
kamarupena kaunteya
दुष्पुरेणानलेन च.
dushpuranena nalena cha. Avritam covered, jnanam pure consciousness, etena by this, jnanina of the knower, nityavairina by the eternal enemy, kama rupena in the form of lust, kaunteya, O son of Kunti, duspurena never to be satisfied, analena by the fire, cha also. Thus the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So one thing that we must know, at least from Bhagavad Gita, यहाँ पे भगवान clearly बता रहे हैं कि ये जो lust ऐसा चीज है ना कि आप कितना भी उसको satisfy करोगे वो burn होते ही जाएगा. It will never get satisfied. It will continue to burn more and more like fire. मतलब जैसे कि थोड़ा सा फायर है, उसमें आप थोड़ा बटर डाल दो तो वो बटर डालने से वो बुझेगा नहीं, वो और बढ़ेगा फायर. राइट? तो वैसे ही लस्ट को पूरा करना मतलब आग में बटर डालना, बटर डालने के बराबर है. तो कितना भी आप अपने लस्ट को पूरा करते जाओगे, इट इज नेवर गोइंग टू बी सेटिस्फाइड. सो व्हाट डू द वाइज लिविंग एंटिटी डू? The wise people, they understand this fact. They understand that how much ever I will try to satisfy my desires, material desires, it is just going to increase and increase. So better to curb them rather than fulfilling all the material desires. So that is why we have to become intelligent. अब इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि हम लोगों को कुछ भी नहीं करना है क्या? We should not fulfill any of our material desires. So it is not like that also. So, but for that we need to understand what is needful and what is just like that only, you know, because mind में तो बहुत सारे thoughts आते हैं. लेकिन we need to understand what is my need, what is required, what is needed and what is not necessary. Okay, so अगर हम ये differentiate करने सीख जाएंगे, then it will become easy for us to curb those material thoughts and desires which are not necessary actually. It may come up in our heart, we may want something, but we must evaluate it with our intelligence. Okay, do I need it? Is it really necessary for me to have this? Can I wait for some time? So like this, question yourself and try to postpone it. Don't do it immediately. जो भी करना है, suppose मतलब कुछ खरीदने का मन कर रहा है, कुछ खाने का मन कर रहा है, कुछ पहनने का, या whatever, anything, कुछ you know, some people have that habit of doing shopping. कहीं पर भी जाते हैं, कुछ अच्छा लग गया तुरंत ले लो. So before doing that, think 10 times. Do I need it? What will I do with it? Is it necessary? So if we have this habit, then we can control ourselves from ending up buying too many things which are not necessary, because that is also a form of lust only. And in this example, in this verse, Srila Prabhupada gives us the example of sex life, because that is the greatest lust which is entangling everybody in this material world. Right? People are getting carried away by these sensual desires, and without any thinking कि ये सही है गलत है हम क्या कर रहे हैं, वो सोचने से पहले ही लोग they end up doing the wrong thing, and then later on पश्चाताप करते हैं कि हमने ऐसा क्यों किया, या कुछ बीमारी हो गई तो उनको टेंशन आ जाता है, right, कि हमने कुछ गलत कर दिया, so now we are getting this disease. So that is why one must think before getting into any action. So advancement of material civilization on the basis of sense gratification means increasing the duration of material existence of a living entity. Therefore, this lust is the symbol of ignorance by which the living entity is kept within the material world. So actually ये जो lust है वो अज्ञानता के वजह से आ रहा है. It is only because we have come in touch with the mode of passion and ignorance ये lusty thoughts और desires आते हैं. And आप ये भी देखना कि ये सारे जो lusty thoughts और desires हमारे heart में आते हैं, it also depends on the association. आप पूरा दिन किसके साथ associate करते हो, वैसे thoughts आपके अंदर आएंगे. So one more way to curb this lust, practical solution is see what you are eating, see what you are watching, see whom you are talking to, आप किन के साथ associate कर रहे हो, ये सब कुछ matter करता है, because कहीं ना कहीं suppose आप you are also maintaining friendship with your other friends who are completely into the materialistic, completely absorbed in the materialistic world. तो जब भी आप उनसे बात करते हो, they will give you some news of the material world. You know, ये हीरोइन के साथ ऐसा हुआ, उसने वैसा किया, you know, इधर उसका एक्स्ट्रा मैरिटल अफेयर चल रहा है, you know, उसका ऐसा हो रहा है. तो ये सुनकर ये सारे थॉट्स आपके हार्ट में जा रहे हैं. Although you are just listening, maybe you think that no, it is important कि मैं इसके साथ भी relation maintain करके रखूं. If I don't talk, my friend will get angry or she will misunderstand me. So let me just give some time to her. So out of goodwill, you are giving time or you are hearing to what they are saying. But वो कहीं ना कहीं वो ना आपके heart में भी वो सारे thoughts जा रहे हैं. So all the wrong things that they are talking about is going in your heart, and it is getting deposited as a desire in your heart. और जो आपको पता नहीं चल रहा है, later on someday in your life, either in this life or next life, one of the life, that same thought will come up as a desire in your heart. Are you getting it? So this is how we get entangled in the material world. Even though I don't want to commit sinful activity, लेकिन वो wrong thought मेरे अंदर deposit किया गया था by somebody else speaking about it, तो अब वो डिजायर के फॉर्म में ऊपर आएगा कभी न कभी हमारे लाइफ में. That is why we should be very careful.
Mataji, but at this situation, what should we do?
Yeah, we should
We
change
don't
the
talk
topic.
with the- We should
We
not
should
talk to
change
the
the
friend.
topic. We can change the topic. We can ask the person to talk something good, something nice, some good things, or you can talk about Bhagavad Gita to that person. Something, you have to change, because आप खाली अगर ऐसे ही passively सुनते भी रहोगे, आप अपना नुकसान कर रहे हो. और just talk to, जितना जरूरत है. उनको अगर चाहिए कि just कोई आप 5 मिनट फोन करके उनके बारे में पूछ लो, आप 5 मिनट फोन कर लो, how are you doing, क्या खाया, एक्सेट्रा, जो उनको अच्छा लगता है. एंड देन कुछ तो बहाना बना के रख दो, बातें करते मत जाओ अगर आपको मालूम है कि वो इट विल एंड अप इन प्रजल्पा एंड जस्ट वेस्ट ऑफ टाइम. तो आप यू शुड हैव दैट कंट्रोल ओवर द सिचुएशन.
Okay, understood.
Okay, next verse, 40th verse. Who would like to read this?
Read Mataji.
Yes, ma'am. Indriyani manobuddhir
Indriyani manobuddhir
asyadhisthanamuchyate
yadhisthanamuchyate
ete vimohayatyesha
ete vimohayatyesha
jnanam avritya dehinam.
Jnanamavatya dehinam. Indriyani, the senses,
Yeah.
Manaha, the mind, Buddhiha, the intelligence, Asya, of this lust, Adhisthanam, sitting place, Uchyate is called, Etiyaha, by all these, Vimohayati, bewildered, Isaha, this lust, Jnanam, knowledge, Avartya, covering, Dehinam, of the embodied. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, dust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, so now Krishna is giving us the fact कि ये lust कहाँ पे बैठते हैं, इनका place कहाँ पे हमारे body में. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders them. तो अब आपको पता चला है कहाँ पे बैठते हैं, हमारे इंद्रियों में, मन में और बुद्धि में ये लस्ट बैठता है. तो so that is why I said what we eat, what we talk to people, whom do we associate with, that all depends on how the lust is entering in our heart. Because हम कानों से ही बात करते हैं ना किसी के साथ, तो वो जो भी बोल रहे हैं वो शब्दों से हमारे हार्ट में लस्ट एंटर कर रहा है. Through the senses, the lust is entering, it is entering our mind and intelligence also. And later on, someday it will pop up someday, and you will feel surprised, oh my God, where am I getting this desire from? ये ऐसे sinful desires क्यों आ रहे हैं मेरे heart में? Because we have been associated with those either through hearing or seeing something. Like, Ajamil ka story. Ajamil was actually a very pious Brahmana. But when he was a young boy, he had gone to a forest. वहां पे उसने देखा कि एक prostitute के साथ one person is enjoying with a prostitute. So he just stood there and he watched, and that came as a desire in his own heart. And later on, even though he got married to a nice Brahmana lady, he divorced her and he went after that prostitute. And the entire life he stayed with that prostitute, committing all sinful activities. So this is what happens. हमने कुछ देख लिया, कुछ सुन लिया, कुछ पढ़ लिया, तो वो हमारे हार्ट में वो डिजायर बन जाता है. Okay, next verse, 40 verse first. Who wants to read this?
Mataji, one small question. Mataji, unfulfilled desires in one life gets carried to another life, right, Mataji? So, Mataji, it goes deep. See, senses, mind, and intelligence are at gross body level, and intelligence is, Mataji, at a subtle level?
Intelligence is the subtle body, yeah.
So that's how it, through intelligence, it goes life after another, Mataji.
Yeah. Through my mind, intelligence, false ego. ये subtle body है ना?
Subtle body, yes,
Yeah,
Mataji.
so
So
when we leave
mind
the
and
gross
intelligence.
body.
Okay.
We leave the gross body, the subtle intelligence, subtle body is going along with the soul. तो जो भी हमने deposit किया है through the senses, whatever we heard, whatever we saw, they all got deposited in the mind and intelligence. And next life वो continue होते रहता है. कभी ना कभी वो फिर pop up हो जाता है as a desire. And
Yes, Mataji.
yes. You will read this verse also, Swati Mataji?
Can I do, Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Vrajsaki Mataji.
Yes.
Tasmat tvam indriyanyadau
Tasmatvam indriyan yadav
niyamya bharatarshava
niyamya bharatarshava
papmanam prajahiyenam
papmanam prajahihenam
jnana vijnana nashanam.
jnana vijnana nasanam. Tasmat, therefore, tvam, you, indriyani, senses, adhav in the beginning, niyamya, by regulating. One second, Mataji, this box is, okay. Bharatarshava, O chief among the descendants of Bharata. Papmana, the greatest symbol of sin. Prajahi, curb, he certainly. Enam, this. Jnana, knowledge. Vijnana, the scientific knowledge of the pure soul. Nasanam, the destroyer. Translation. Therefore, O Arjuna, the best of Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this greatest symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. Hare Krishna. Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so this lust is something which does not allow people to become Krishna conscious. Many times we say, na, log lete nahi hai, aap kitna bhi bologe ki, you should chant, they said we don't have time. Why? Because of this lust which is there in the heart, which does not allow a person to come to Krishna. Because it goes ill together. Right? So if somebody has lust, he will not take to spiritual path so easily or cannot become Krishna conscious. That is why Krishna is telling Arjuna, oh Arjuna, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning only curb this great symbol of sin by regulating the senses and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. Even Arjun was not able to do his duty. Why? Because of this lust only. He was thinking about himself. I don't want this. I don't want to commit sinful activity. That is also lust actually. कि मुझे पाप नहीं करना, मुझे ये नहीं चाहिए, मुझे. So he was just thinking about I. I is what? False ego. That I am this body. He's thinking I am Arjun, I am Kshatriya, and I have to fight for a kingdom. He's not thinking about Krishna at all at that time. Right? So this lust covers our knowledge. It covers, it destroys the path of self-realization. So the very first thing we have to do is regulate our senses. That is why yam niyam. Koi bhi yoga system mein shuruaat hoti hai yam niyam, then asanas, then pranayam. Yam niyam means rules and regulations. And why rules and regulations? To regulate our senses and the mind, because the senses, mind and intelligence are the places for lust. तो पहले उसे हमें कर्ब करना है by regulating our senses. So even in Bhakti Yoga, we are given yam and niyam. वो yam क्या है? What are the do's and don'ts in Bhakti Yoga?
To follow the 4 regulative principles.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the niyam.
Niyam. And yam is what we should not do. The 4. Yeah, yam is what we should not do, and niyam is chanting 16 rounds.
Chanting.
Regularly.
And the regulative principles comes with yam.
Yam, yeah. So no meat eating,
No meat eating, no
sex,
illicit sex, no gambling, no.
So when we start doing that,
Intoxication.
we are regulating our senses. We are regulating our senses. हमारे जो senses और mind है वो control में आ रहे हैं, नहीं तो फिर वो uncontrollable हो जाते हैं. And then again, all the instructions given in Nectar of Instruction. The first 2-3 instructions जैसे दिया है ना, अत्याहार प्रयासश्च प्रजल्पो नियमाग्रह. We should
You have
not
to keep away from the thing. That is coming in the Upadeshamrita also, no,
Yeah,
Mataji?
Nectar of
We have to, that 6 things that we have to follow in devotion.
Hmm.
Perseverance, determination.
Yeah.
And
Control
the
your mind.
33rd sloka, I think that you have to come out of
Breathe.
Prajalpa, unnecessary talks and
Yes. Yes.
all this.
So all this we have to practice.
Say you are going to yoga classes anywhere, but they don't follow anything. All they say is don't eat for 2 hours and come. That's it.
Yes.
There's nothing
And then
else that is told them.
after
Yeah,
the
the
food,
only
you can also
niyam you
do an
have is
ritual.
don't eat and come. That's it. And the yoga teacher has meat and everything. So it is just a body gymnastics, like what Srila Prabhupada says.
Yeah.
But it helps in a bodily level. They feel good, I mean, to a certain extent, and they feel they are happy with that.
Because they are told that you can enjoy life by doing yoga.
Because most of the spirituality in the garb of spiritualism, it's mostly sense enjoyment. Because people like to be spiritual. Many of them, they think that, I want to be spiritual, but they don't want to sacrifice anything.
Yeah.
They want to do activities that does not come in between where their enjoyment propensity is curbed. So you have to be Bogi B and Yogi B. That's what they say. I mean, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said the one who wants to enjoy the material world and be spiritual is the greatest fool.
Yeah.
And it is widely said yogi and bogi thing. So
unfortunately, people want such gurus only.
Yeah, because it is gratifying your senses, no, Mataji. Like,
yeah, that's
we are born because we have desires. And the desires is fulfilling, but we also have a higher purpose of the life. We think we should not be like others. We should go spiritual. And it's become a fashion also for people, to think that I'm spiritual. They like to call themselves spiritual. And in fact, the other day when I was speaking to Sridevi Mataji, she was telling that she was attending a wedding, and many of her relatives, they were hearing to Bhagavatams through Zoom, not ISKCON, somebody else. And they were so committed that even in between the marriage function, they were getting into the Zoom online. They didn't want to miss the class. They call. And Mataji said, I asked them, what is the goal of your life? They don't have any goal. They can't understand anything. They can't understand Krishna is the Supreme Lord. They cannot do anything, and they are doing the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
And very regular, very punctual for the class. And they but no goals, absolutely no goals. You do whatever way, you get the same thing. What, Mataji?
Just doing jugglery of words, reading.
Yeah, jugglery of words, just keeping you feel happy, because you can easily tell them, you be like this, you do like this. Yeah, mera enjoyment bhi ho raha hai, thoda ye karna na. You feel, more satisfied, but you never knew after death what all you carry with you. Like, as you said, the subtle body, the mind, intelligence, and false ego. Unless otherwise it's purified, we cannot shed them and reach our purest state.
Yes.
And even Ravana also, no, Mataji, he had the jnana, but he didn't have the vijnana.
Yeah.
He know that he's not the soul, he's a spirit soul, but he did not know what is the connection with Krishna, no? He didn't agree, right? But otherwise, he did have jnana. Hiranyakashipu had jnana, Ravana had jnana, everybody had, but it's the vijnana that is lacking. And nobody says, how are you related to God? Even in India, many of the philosophy says that you become one with the God. That for the first time, Mataji, like reading Srila Prabhupada's book, I understood that we are the servants of the Lord. We are part and parcel, yes, in the sense, but we are, as a servant, we cannot become God.
Yeah.
Because other institution says, I am God, you are God, everybody is God.
True.
So that is also other misconception. The so-called spiritualists, they say that I am and you, everybody is God. But then what is about that Aishwaryascha, Virascha, that 6 qualities, no, which describes Bhagavan? Do we have them?
Yes. So we'll just complete this 42nd and 43rd verse also. I think it's just in the line. So we'll just complete these 2 verses also. Yeah. Who wants to read now? Next. Alka Mataji, you want to read?
Yes,
Yeah.
Mataji.
Okay. Indriyani paranyahur.
Indriyani paranya
Indriyebhya param manah.
indriyebhya paramana
Manasastu para buddhir.
manasastu para buddhyo
Yo buddhe paratastu saha.
yo buddhe parastu sa. Indriyani senses, parani superior, aho are said. Indriya bhava more than senses, param superior, manha the mind, manasa more than the mind. Two also para superior, buddhya intelligence, yah who, buddhya more than the intelligence, parate superior to, but sa he. Translation: the working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence.
So now Krishna is telling us, he is giving us another secret कि कैसे हमें इस लस्ट को कंट्रोल करना है. तो अगर हमें नॉलेज, तो सब इसके पहले वाले वर्स में उन्होंने कहा कि नॉलेज, वी शुड डेवलप, कल्टिवेट नॉलेज ऑफ द सेल्फ. ओके, इफ यू कल्टिवेट नॉलेज बाय रीडिंग भगवद गीता, देन नेक्स्ट टाइम वी विल बिकम मोर कॉन्शियस कि हमें कैसे इसको डील करना है अपने अंदर के लस्ट को. लेकिन जब हमें मालूम ही नहीं है तो वी गेट कैरिड अवे, राइट? दैट इज व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन द वर्ल्ड. People do not have knowledge about this, and therefore they are just getting carried away with the sensual desires, whatever is coming in the mind and the heart. They just run after fulfilling those desires, thinking that I am this body. तो मेरा ये अगर urges है, मेरा अगर demand है, need है body का, तो मुझे वो fulfill करना चाहिए. ये सोचकर लोग गलत काम कर बैठते हैं. लेकिन अब यहाँ पे भगवान हमें बता रहे हैं कि हमारे वर्किंग सेंसेस से सुपीरियर जो है, वर्किंग सेंसेस आर सुपीरियर टू द डल मैटर. जो ऑब्जेक्ट्स हैं, सेंस ऑब्जेक्ट से ज्यादा सुपीरियर जो है वो सेंसेस हैं. माइंड जो है सेंसेस से भी हायर है, इंटेलिजेंस माइंड से हायर है, एंड सोल इज इवन हायर देन द इंटेलिजेंस. सो यस, वी आर वर्किंग ऑन द बॉडीली प्लेटफॉर्म. जब हम अपने मटेरियल डिजायर्स पूरा कर रहे हैं तो वो बॉडीली प्लेटफॉर्म पे है, तो उसमें हमारे सेंसेस काम कर रहे हैं और माइंड काम कर रहा है, इंटेलिजेंस काम कर रहा है. लेकिन सोल जो है सोया हुआ है, right? Soul is not able to do anything because it has no knowledge about the soul only. So the activities are getting carried on by the mind, senses and intelligence. But we should know that we are even more powerful than the mind, intelligence and senses. So the soul, if it is awakened by Krishna consciousness, then it can control the actions of the body. क्योंकि लस्ट को वेंट कहाँ से मिलता है? सेंसेस के द्वारा. वो माइंड और इंटेलिजेंस में तो अंदर स्टोर्ड रहता ही है. इंटेलिजेंस उसको अलग अलग आइडियाज देती है कि कैसे मैं अपने लस्ट को पूरा करूं, और सेंसेस के द्वारा हम अपने लस्ट को पूरा करते हैं. लेकिन अगर सोल जो है वो जागृत है, सोल के अंदर पावर है, अब नाउ इट हैज गॉट द पावर टू कंट्रोल द माइंड एंड द सेंसेस, देन वी कैन वेरी इजीली कंट्रोल अवर एक्शंस आल्सो. ओके, so coming back to your question, सुजाता माता जी, शुरू में जैसा आपने कहा कि हाँ ये होता है हमारे साथ कई बार. we plan that I don't want to say like this, I don't want to do like this, but we end up doing that way. Why? Because अभी तक शायद हमारा माइंड अभी तक हमने कंट्रोल नहीं किया है. so the crux lies in becoming more spiritually strong. Chanting more with more focus, or increasing the number of rounds, ordering Krishna Prasadam. The more you are engaging your senses in Krishna's service, the more your senses, mind, intelligence is getting controlled and purified, and the soul is awakening, soul is becoming strong. तो हमें अपने आप को strong बनाना है by regular reading, hearing and devotional activities. तो नेक्स्ट टाइम फिर, एंड दिस यू विल एक्सपीरियंस योरसेल्फ, ये प्रूफ आपको अपने आप ही मिलेगा. आपको पता चलेगा कि हाँ, नेक्स्ट टाइम आई एम एबल टू बेटर कंट्रोल माय एक्शंस ऑफ स्पीच ले लो या एक्शन ले लो या थॉट्स ले लो, हम उसको अच्छे से और कंट्रोल कर सकते हैं. So the whole solution lies in our devotional service only. All we have to do is, अपने अपने जो डिवोशनल सर्विस हम कर रहे हैं, चैंटिंग, रीडिंग, हियरिंग, उसी को हमें स्ट्रॉन्गर बनाते रहना है एवरी डे, डे बाय डे, and that will make the soul very strong. That will make us very strong. We the soul. Okay, and that is how next time अगर हमारे mind में कोई ऐसे lusty thoughts आते भी हैं, it can be anything, तो भी हम उस पे action नहीं लेंगे, because now the soul has become strong. So the soul is able to say no to unnecessary material thoughts and desires. लेकिन अगर हम soul पे ध्यान ही नहीं करते, काम ही नहीं करेंगे ना, then naturally वो अपने आप ही व्यक्ति वो काम करेगा, जो sensual desires या जो भी thoughts आ रहे हैं दिमाग में, उसी के हिसाब से वो काम करेगा. So this is a secret that Krishna is telling us, that soul is the main controller of everything, the senses, the mind and the intelligence. So wake up, he's telling Arjuna, wake up Arjun, don't sleep, don't get swayed away by the lust. Okay, one more, we will just finish this verse also, and then ये पूरा आज का जो theme है वो section खत्म हो जाएगा.
I'll read, Mataji.
Yeah. एवं बुद्धे परम बुद्ध्वा
एवं बुद्धे परम बुद्ध्वा
संस्तभ्यात्मानमात्मना
संस्थभ्यात्मानमात्मना
जहि शत्रुं महाबाहो
जहि शत्रुं महाबाहो
कामरूपं दुरासदम्.
कामरूपं दुरासदम्. Evam, thus, buddhe, to intelligence, param, superior, buddhva, knowing, samstabhya, by studying, atmanam, the mind, atmana, by deliberate intelligence, jahi, conquer, satrum, the enemy, mahabaho, O mighty armed one, kamarupam, in the form of lust, durasadam, formidable. Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
So finally, Krishna is concluding this verse saying that it is by knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses. So we should know that we are, first of all, spirit soul, we are not the body. And being spirit soul, we are transcendental to the material senses, mind and intelligence. So, and the soul is more powerful than the matter. So by knowing all this, by practicing Krishna consciousness, we can get the amount of, spiritual strength to control or steady our mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence. And thus, by spiritual strength only, we can conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. क्योंकि लस्ट को आप कितना भी फुलफिल करो वो कभी सेटिस्फाई नहीं होने वाला है. The only way to conquer this lust is by becoming spiritually strong, and that can happen only by Krishna consciousness. Okay, so anyone has any question regarding today's topic? So Arjuna, what was Arjuna's question in the beginning? He asked the question, why is it that some people, they end up committing sinful activities even though they don't want to do it? What is it that forces them? So कुछ लोग बोलते हैं कि भगवान ही सब कुछ करवाते हैं. कई लोग हैं जो भगवान एथिस्ट होते हैं, भगवान में विश्वास नहीं करते हैं. कुछ लोग होते हैं जो भगवान में इतना विश्वास करते हैं कि उनको लगता है कि पाप कर्म भी उनसे भगवान ही करवा रहे हैं. सब कुछ भगवान ही करवा रहे हैं. Everything Krishna is the controller. So we should not be so ignorant. Yes, we should know the right thing, how things are working in the world. What is role of Krishna as super soul in our heart? So as a super soul, Krishna is trying to give us all the knowledge so that with right knowledge, we can do the right activities. So he gave us the knowledge. It is the lust only which forces somebody to do something. And the place of lust is mind, senses, and intelligence. And then he tells how the soul is superior to these mind, senses, and intelligence. So by spiritual strength, we can curb the lust and not by fulfilling all our lusty thoughts and desires. So any question, anyone?
Mataji, very, very powerful and beautiful verses, Mataji.
Yeah, very scientific also, no?
Yes, yes, Mataji.
And you know, many a times, like in my experience also, it has been like that. Many times, so such thoughts used to come in my mind. I used to wonder why this thought is coming in my mind, from where it is coming. Then I thought, let me check where is it coming from. Is it what I'm eating? क्या मैं ऐसा, you know, am I eating any non-devotee, मतलब जो unoffered food खा रही हूँ क्या? कभी कभी ऐसा होता है, you can experience that. You eat sometimes outside food which has not been offered, cooked by some non-devotee. Next day you will get such, your mind will be restless, disturbed, all unnecessary thoughts will come in your mind. So you watch some movies, well, for a long time, ठीक है, family is there, बच्चे हैं, तो we do go for movies sometimes in a family. It is okay, but still you can have a check on your mind. What impact does it have on your mind, on your thoughts? What kind of food we eat, what kind of what movies we see. Even watching movies, it's okay. You can choose what to watch. You know, we should not end up watching anything and everything. उसमें भी हम चूज कर सकते हैं कि हमें कैसे टाइप का मूवीज देखना है, अगर फैमिली के साथ जा भी रहे तो. Watch some light movies which are okay. So like this we have to be very careful कि हमारे senses के द्वारा क्या क्या जा रहा है अंदर body में, mind और intelligence में, because that is what is creating lust in our heart, and then later on it creates a lot of restlessness in the mind. So bhakti means it's not just कि मैं Krishna से I love Krishna, that's bhakti. Yes, we have to love Krishna, but all these aspects are also there. Taking care of how we engage our senses in different activities and how careful we are in our association. Is that okay, everyone?
Yes,
Yes,
Mataji.
Mataji. Like many
I think
times,
it's-
even in
Yes,
the
Mataji.
TVs, you get some ads showing some exotic vacations and everything. And generally, immediately people mind it
And are we
changes.
going
And
there?
following, you will get a message in the bank that they are giving you 5 lakh loan without any processing. So how your mind will immediately connect. Yeah, there you're getting, here the loan is come. Now let's call the husband and fix it and check the holidays and fix
And
it.
this is how the artificial intelligence are
Yeah,
working.
exactly.
also.
They are working like that. And as you said, Mataji, even for sometimes we are not Paramahamsas. We may not think that, we are devotees and nothing will happen. As you said, even with the family, when we do something, we may still get affected because we also have the past impressions of our desires.
Right.
And, suddenly it rekindles that, that like, as you said, the karmi food and everything, you can see the difference for yourself when you chant and when your consciousness to hear and everything. That's what, no, Mataji, Krishna consciousness is something that we can test it for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Nobody has to say you're advanced or you're like this. We don't need a stamp from anyone. It's something that you can know for yourself where you are.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's one realization which I have got, Mataji, over a period of time. As you said, how we have to be very important with the inputs that we receive.
We have to be very cautious because
Yeah.
this material world is using the same knowledge to take you to the material side. आपके अंदर वो materialistic desires जागृत हो, इसके लिए you see social media, they're using all their efforts for advertisements, big boards, to show that you want that house, you want that big house, you want that dress, you want that. So ये advertisement company इसी idea को लेकर हमारे दिमाग में वो लोग they try to instill these ideas. Just see how the
Even
advertisement
generally, no, Mataji, even the social websites, you keep getting the message what you're looking. YouTube's also, you keep getting the feeds that you're looking. So your desires are very well understood. So if you are getting feeds like that, that means that our consciousness is not proper. We are searching something not so appropriate that is in our goal. Our goal is Krishna consciousness, means distractions are these. So we should learn to keep these distractions away rather than thinking
should
that I
try to
am
keep it
chanting
away.
and everything will go away. That again becomes namaparad. We are chanting in the name of the holy name, we are committing the sin in the strength of the holy name. If we think, we are chanting, everything will be taken care, that also becomes